It's really important when you're thinking about formative assessment tools to know the purpose. Why is it that I'm using this formative assessment tool? And to think about the fact that this is one kind of data, there's other kinds of data, and all those feedback data that we talked about before, that comes into play here. Formative assessment is a great way to start changing that idea that we used to talk about the teacher as the keeper of the knowledge. Well, I think sometimes as a teacher, we are the keeper of the data. I know how you're doing, but we need to make sure the student knows how they're doing. If we actually want them to take the responsibility of their learning, they need to know if they're meeting their targets or not. So they need to be very aware of the exemplar and how close they're coming to that. They need their own data. So formative assessment is a way that we can do that. The power of formative assessment is that it allows us to help vary the path for students, to change that path based on their knowledge and where they are in the process of the learning target. We can use that, we can leverage that in this time, in this online time, by using Zoom in different ways, or if you're using Google Meet in different ways. So I, as a teacher, can set up a group meeting with students that are struggling, or I can set up a group meeting with students that are accelerating, and I can tailor make the delivery that I give them. Just like in a classroom, I might offer a small group lesson for different students. I can do the same thing in Zoom, that I can have a small group that I call them to me. Instead of having the whole class, I break it up into smaller groups. I check in with students more often. I'm finding out their data. They're knowing their data and using that to move to playlists and checklists, which we talked about in an earlier video. Your task is to read the article, Formative Assessment in Distance Learning. This puts into print some of the things that I was talking about, lets you think deeper about it. And then there's a very short video for you to watch called 3 Tips for Great Formative Assessment. It really takes the idea of formative assessment that we've been kind of mulling over and gives you great ideas of how to apply a formative assessment in your classroom in a different way. Take some time to work through those too, and I'll be back to tell you about your final activity.